to those of you who are coming in, and welcome to my replay viewers as well. I am going to try something a little different here with putting what today, what the date is and what day of my 21-day challenge to myself, hi Gianna, that I'm on. Hi Jessica, partly for accountability, so that I do all 21 days. And also, you know, on Catch, when you watch replays, you can't see, hi Wendy, you can't see the date. It says like 1 week ago, 1 month ago, unless it's like 2 days ago. You don't know what date it was. So I thought, well, this might be helpful visually for when you go to watch replays on Catch. You can see, if you know what day you missed, you can see which one you need to watch. So that is why I'm doing that. So I'm going to flip around. Okay, I'm doing horizontal today because I'm going to do a little demo with you where I need to have a little bit more of screen space. Okay, so I'm going to look at the dot. This is a lot harder to do horizontally. Thanks, Gianna. So I'm looking at the camera, but tell me, am I on the right side? Do I need to move over to the other side? It's hard to know where the hearts are coming up. I'm good. Okay, good. Alrighty. At least this way I can see your comments because I have the comments next to the camera thing. Sometimes when it's on the other side, then I'm not looking at the camera when I read the comments. So, calculated shipping is something I want to talk about today. By the way, I'm Melissa from MakerySpace.com. Hi, Dreams and Peace. And I love to educate, equip, and encourage Etsy sellers in the more left-brained aspects of running a creative business. I'm on the content side, not the heart side. Okay, so I need to move over. Is that what you're saying, Jessica? Am I kind of blocking? Are the comments covering me, or am I okay the way that I am? Just let me know if I need to move over to the other side. I'm going to be moving and turning the camera around onto my workspace anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Okay, so I love helping with the more left brain side of running an Etsy shop or creative business in general, and so that is what I really like to do. And on Periscope, I'm challenging myself for 21 days, hi the decal girl, to make a habit of hopping on here and giving some tips and some instruction so that I can, hopefully, it will just become something that I do because I tend to be too spontaneous and unplanned, and I think it's good for me to challenge myself to be intentional. So this is day one, first scope of 21. That will be Monday through Friday, right around 10:30, maybe a little bit earlier Pacific Daylight Time. And on Fridays, it will be like a Q&A, Ask Me Anything. So if you have some things that you're wondering about your Etsy shop or how things work on the back end or anything like that, you can bring your questions on Friday. It'll be a little bit looser format. But Monday through Thursday, I will cover a certain topic. And of course, you're also always welcome to ask questions in the comments about whatever I'm talking about that day. So with shipping in general, there's a couple of things that I see as sticking points with sellers that frustrate them or discourage them when it comes to shipping. One of those is international shipping because some sellers just are kind of afraid of it. It's new to them. They're wondering, are people even going to pay it? Will I even get any more sales doing it? But I will tell you one thing I know for sure. If you don't offer international shipping, you will not get any international sales. I can tell you that for positive. So if you do offer it, you have nothing to lose because even if you only get a sale every once in a while, you still get that sale that you might not get if you didn't offer it to other countries besides the United States. And if you use calculated shipping, so it ties into what I'm talking about today, you don't have to worry about figuring out what it would cost to every single possible country you might want to sell to, because the calculated shipping tool will compute that for you and it will charge your customer accordingly so that you're not going to be paying out of pocket. Now there's some customers who aren't going to be willing to pay for shipping, but there's other customers that will. And when you think about it, it's pretty amazing that we can ship something all the way across the world for a relatively low price in perspective. You know, goes to the other side of the world and maybe it costs the customer $15, but that's a pretty big deal, I think, to be able to get something from the other side of the world for that price. So I'm going to show you in a practical hands-on way an example of how to set up a calculated shipping profile and the parameters within a listing so that you get it to calculate correctly. Almost every time that I hear somebody say, calculated shipping tool is messing up, it's not doing it correctly, I ended up paying out of pocket or it's charging my customers too much, I can usually find, yeah, Jessica, they will if they really want it. I can usually find out what the issue is, and it's always a problem, with the exception of maybe a few times where it could be an Etsy glitch, but it's 99% of the time it's a problem on our end with how we've set up calculated shipping. So if we can get those things down and get a handle on the calculated shipping, it saves so much time and so much not having to refund overages or pay out of our pockets because we're estimating. Okay, so I'm going to take you over to my workspace here. Flip the camera around. So I have got, I'm going to turn my thing down a little bit. I've just got like a sample order here of one of my basic wallets. I happen to use my kind of squirrely tripod so that I can get it to move around the way that I want. It doesn't like to stand up well, so I'll try to get this set. Okay. So this is just one of my basic wallets. It's just the one that has the dividers inside for cash category. It's just my real simple basic wallet, purposely made to be really thin to fit inside a purse, backpack, diaper bag, wherever someone wants to put it. So it's a pretty thin item, and I'm going to just package it the way that I would normally package it, because when you are setting up calculated shipping, one thing that you have to do is in your individual listings, you need to put the dimensions of the item, but it needs to be in its interior packaging. Not in the mailer you're going to mail it in, not in the box you're going to mail it in, but in its interior packaging. So if you use a gift bag like I do, you'll have it in that. If you use a gift box that goes inside of your outside packaging, you will use that. So and then the weight as well. So I just go ahead and I put it just the way that I would if I'm going to be packaging it for an order. And then I'm going to figure out from there. Whoops! Oh yeah, I should have known not to do that. I'm going to leave the twine off of it because I think that's just make it a little bit more complicated. Doesn't add any weight anyway. Okay. So this is my interior packaging. When I get to that point, I am going to weigh this, and I'm going to measure the dimensions of it. And that is what I'm going to put for my individual listing for the information, so the calculated shipping tool knows what to do when someone purchases one, and even more importantly, in some cases, it knows what to do if someone purchases more than one item, because that's where some people can get into issues with the calculated shipping, is if they don't do their dimensions correctly, all of a sudden the calculated shipping tool thinks, oh, I can only fit 2 things in that mailer, so now I need to bump it up to a second mailer. And so then you're getting 2 charges because it's 2 different packages it thinks it has to go in. So you have to measure the length and the width of it, and then also the thickness. Now mine, I put like a 1/4 inch for the thickness of mine. It's probably not even that much. But you want to be careful not to say it's too thick, because once again, the calculated shipping tool could think more than one is not going to fit inside your packaging. Okay, so when you're doing the individual listings, if you're setting up calculated shipping for the first time, then don't go into each individual listing. That takes a long time. Dreams and Peace, I will tell you about where you do the mailer or the box in just a second, because you do have to do that part as well. So go into your listings manager, and on your active listings, select the quick edit button, and then you'll have all your listings lined up in a row, and you can at a glance see your dimensions. So then you can see there if anything needs to be tweaked, or even if you just need to add them all right there. It's way faster than going into each separate listing when you are setting up calculated shipping for the first time, or if you're needing to edit your calculated shipping. Okay, so go into your listings manager, and on your active listings, click quick edit, and you will see the basic information for each listing there, and you can fix your dimensions at that time. Okay, so you also need to tell the calculated shipping tool about your outside packaging. Where you do this is you go into your shipping labels section in your shop settings, and you scroll down to package preferences. Now, you have to decide, okay, what packages am I going to offer that my customers can select from? And it's also going to depend on which mail classes you offer. So my standard packaging is well, they say it's a 6x9 mailer. It really comes out to be more like a 7x9 when you measure from edge to edge because of the fins. So I put in, and I unmark the one that says to use standard Etsy package sizes, because that can mess you up. So I unmark that, and then I put in a 7x10 or 7x9 bubble mailer. And then for the thickness, I am not going to put the thickness that it is with nothing in it. I am going to put a really generous thickness because I know, because of the thinness of my products, I know that pretty much any order placed in my shop, even if it's for multi-items, is going to fit in this mailer if the customer chooses first class. So I don't want the calculated shipping tool to separate things into different packages because I know they're going to fit. So I say like 3 or 4 inches. Now, I've never stuffed one 3 or 4 inches full. And if I really had that huge of an order, Jessica, I'm glad it's helping you. If I had that huge of an order, I would simply go get a bigger mailer and put like the items side by side inside of it instead of stuffing it all into this one. But I pretty much know that any order that's shipped first class can fit in one of these mailers. So I want to be generous with the thickness. Okay. I also offer a priority mail option for my customers. And there's 2 main containers I use for that. And I do flat rate for both of those because of my items. Regular priority mail is really never any cheaper. And so I use either the small flat rate box or the flat rate envelope. So I have both of those in my package preferences as well. Now, if you use a flat rate box, the length, width, and height are all already determined, and you don't have to put those in. If you choose that as one of your package preferences, those are going to be auto-filled. If you have one of the priority mail envelopes, or more than one, the length and the width will be pre-filled, but the height or thickness will not. So this is another case, like with my first class bubble mailer, where you have to decide what you're going to put in for the thickness. And once again, I'm pretty generous with this one. Okay, so you could put 3 or 4 inches for that because it can expand. So once those things are in there, if you offer both first class and priority mail, the customer will get to choose at checkout which way to ship. And I'm going to flip around again so you're not looking at the boxes. Customer will get to choose which way they want to ship. And also the tool, like let's say they choose priority. The calculated shipping tool is going to look at which priority option is the least expensive and charge accordingly. So let's say in that case, it would have been cheaper. Let's say if someone ordered who was closer to me in distance, and the zone and weight priority mail would actually be cheaper than the flat rate, then that is what the customer will be charged. And it will tell you on your receipt, it will not say flat rate. It'll just say regular priority mail. But if it's flat rate, it's going to choose the cheapest flat rate packaging that you have in your package preferences that will fit that order inside. Okay, so in the individual listing, you are basing the dimensions and the weight on the item in its interior packaging. And in the package preferences, you are being generous with the thickness and accommodating multiple orders if indeed multiple orders can fit inside one of your envelopes. Okay, is that clear? Does anybody have any specific questions about that, or any issues that you've encountered where something was not working out right with calculated shipping? So the beauty of calculated shipping, well, there's lots of beauty about it. It saves you time. So if the United States Postal Service raises their prices, you don't have to go back through every listing or every shipping profile and update it. A lot of people missed that change on January 17th, even though it was very publicized. And then they went to ship packages like a week or 2 later. Oh, good. I'm so glad that you set it up after that. Yeah, I did cover some shipping misconceptions excuse me, on that blab. So I'm glad that was helpful for you. Some people were, yes, a lot of shipping overages. That is one thing that I was doing, especially with, oh, you're getting shipping overages with calculated shipping as opposed to manual shipping profiles. You roll your decals and can't figure out, okay, so are you trying to figure out the best way to send them? So dreams in peace, if you're getting overages with calculated shipping, that leads me to believe that there's maybe some things not set up on the back end correctly, and so it's maybe putting it into multiple packages. Do you see it being put into multiple packages when you look at your receipt? Does it say like package 1 and package 2? Okay, as far as rolling your decals, do you send mostly first class mail or priority, or do you give a choice? You send them in a tube. Okay, so that's special packaging, which I think has a little bit of a surcharge. The tube, that's an interesting one because I only do priority mail. Okay, the tubes I have not worked with in calculated shipping personally because I've never had the opportunity to send anything in a tube. However, I order my laminated cotton from an Etsy seller and I request that mine come in tubes so that it's not creased. And I will ask her for you. Why don't you send me an email at melissa@makeryspace.com so that I have your email, and I'll find out if she has any little tricks for getting that set up for those tubes, because I think she uses those a lot. Yours are probably smaller tubes. She uses ones that are, I would say, like 4 feet tall or so. But I imagine the same tricks would work, because the thing is, you're not stacking things in thickness. You're probably looking. It probably calculates it a little bit differently. It seems that when there's more than one item purchased with calculated shipping, you get the overage. So does that mean you're paying, the customer is paying too much and you're having to refund an overage? Take a peek at your individual listing, the height of your products, because if the height is too big, or if the height of your packaging preferences is too small, then it's going to be going, okay, I can only fit one item in this package. I can't fit two. So it's going to have to go in 2 different packages. So you may need to be extra generous with the thickness of that package that you use, and just play around with that. Like go into your package preferences, make that thickness bigger, possibly make the thickness of your product smaller if you not overestimated, but overstated the thickness of your product. And then what you can do is log out of your shop, pretend to be a customer, put some things in your cart, and play around with that until you see the shipping coming up correctly. You can try some different zip codes or even different countries to make sure it matches up. And if you find the current price list for the postal service, you can see, okay, it's this many ounces that the package is. Does this match up to what the price should be when you put it in your cart in your own store? You've been using the end. Okay, so that might help right there. If you make that fix, you might find that it's starting to charge correctly. But definitely do that fix. Log out of your store, pretend to be a customer, put some things in your cart, and see what happens. And that may take care of it for you. Any other questions? You're welcome. Okay, so if you think of anything, then you can go ahead and tweet me. You haven't gotten any international orders since setting up calculated shipping. If you're having some problems with it not calculating correctly, it's also possible that the shipping prices are coming up really, really high. So once you get that fixed, maybe that will be some incentive for ordering. And, you know, with international, priority is a lot of times cost prohibitive because, and now the priority prices went up even more. Except to Canada, I don't think anything's under like $27 for priority internationally, whereas first class can go for sometimes half of that. So you might consider, if there's a way you can send your decals without rolling them, like if you can do them in the really, really sturdy cardboard mailers and send them, you do international first class to other countries. Okay. So are you saying that you haven't had even international first class orders to other countries? once again, that could be if there's anything set up incorrectly, but you should try it too. Look for the price list, and I have a link to that current price list at MakerySpace.com/scope. If you look in the list of where I talked about the new shipping rates, you can find a link to the prices. So if you look at those prices and jump out of your shop, log out, pretend to be a customer, like pretend you live in France, add some things to your cart, see what the weight is, and then do, oh, that's a bummer. If your sales have gone down when you used to have a good percentage of international, that would be really disappointing. So pretend to be from another country, put it in your cart, and see if it matches up to what the price on the USPS list says it should be. And if it's a big discrepancy, then you know that there's probably some issues with how you have things set up, and maybe that will take care of it. Because you don't want those international orders to completely go away. So that could be it. Okay, so if you have any other questions, you can tweet at me at MakerySpace, or you can send me an email at melissa@makeryspace.com. So I hope that was helpful for you. And just remember, just to recap, the individual listing dimensions are the item in its interior packaging, the package preference dimensions. You want to have only what you use in those package preferences, and be generous with the thickness if you know multiple items can fit. And then to test it out, log out of your shop and pretend to be a customer and try some different locations and see what happens with the shipping charges. All right, well, I will see you tomorrow about the same time.